This is the video for page 357, 2 through 36 even. I'm going to do 1 through 35 odd. Alright, number 1 says add or subtract as indicated. So the first thing you need to do is find a common denominator. Well, you already have a common denominator, so you're good. And you just write what you're going to subtract in the numerator over the common denominator. That's why it's called that. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So your answer is negative 3 over xz squared. Okay, same situation here. Because you have a common denominator, but remember we're always going to put parentheses around these. You're going to write what you're adding in the numerator over the common denominator, and that's actually going to be your answer. Can't do anything with that. Okay, same situation here. We already have a common denominator, so we're going to do x squared minus 4 over x plus 2. You should immediately recognize that this is difference of squares. So when we factor, we're going to get x plus 2 times x minus 2. These will now cancel, so your answer is just x minus 2. Okay, common denominator here. So we're going to do 2x minus 6 plus 3 minus 3x all over x squared plus x minus 6. Excuse me. So since we're adding, we can just combine like terms. So 2x minus 3x is negative x, and negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Okay, and let's see if we can factor this. We've got 6, factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. 2 and 3 give me 1. So I'm going to go x here, keep your first sign, keep your second sign, 3 and 2. So it'd be nice if this was x plus 3, so why don't I just go ahead and factor a negative 1 out of it, and then it will become x plus 3. So your x plus 3's cancel, and you're left with negative 1 over x minus 2. Okay, still have a common denominator here, so we're going to do x minus 5 minus x plus 5. Parentheses are extremely important here because you're subtracting. So when I distribute this negative, remember this is all over 2x, you get x minus 5 minus x minus 5. So your x's are actually going to cancel because of x minus x, and you have, this is all still over 2x. So you have negative 10 over 2x, but then this can be reduced to negative 5 over x. And that's your answer. Okay, now we're going to find the LCD of the rational expressions in each list. Okay, so when you find the LCD of 7 and 5, you're going to find the lowest number that both 7 and 5 go into. So remember, you start with the higher number and count by that number. So 5 doesn't go into 7, 5 doesn't go into 14, 5 doesn't go into 21, 5 doesn't go into 28, 35, yeah, they both go into 35. So your LCD would be 35, and you need the x still, because there's an x there. Alright, first things first, you're always going to put parentheses around your expression. So in order to make the LCD, you need an x, and you need an x plus 1. This x right here does not count as this x, because this is x plus 1, not just x. So your answer is x times x plus 1. Okay, here, you're going to put parentheses around both, and your answer is going to simply be x plus 7 times x minus 7. You need both. They both need to be represented. Okay. First things first, when you're finding the LCD, is you need to put it in simplest form. So here we're going to factor out of 3, leaving me x plus 2. Here we're going to factor out of 2, leaving me x minus 2. So 6, because 3 times 2 is 6, the lowest number that they both go into is 6. And then you need an x plus 2, and you also need an x minus 2. Okay, so the first thing you have to do here is factor. This is difference of squares. So it's a plus b times a minus b. And this is a perfect square trinomial, so you put a and b and you square it, and then you do whatever the sign is here, so it's minus. So in order to write the LCD, you need an a plus b for right here. You need an a minus b for right here, and then here you need two a minus b's. So since I already have one, I just need to add one more, so make it squared. Okay, here, again, difference of squares. So you have x plus 3, x minus 3, and then you have an x, and then here I'm going to factor out a 4, leaving me 3 minus x. And I'm going to go ahead and change it to a negative 4. So that will actually be negative 3 plus x, which if I spin it around, gives me x minus 3. And the purpose of that is because it's the same as this, and that'll make my LCD simpler. So I need an x plus 3 for here. I need an x minus 3 for here. I need an x. I'm going to write it out front though. And then I need a negative 4. Let's rewrite this. Oh. And then I also need an x minus 3, but I already have an x minus 3. So let's rewrite this. Negative 4x times x plus 3 times x minus 3. And that would be your LCD. Okay? So now we're going to have to combine the two things that we've done so far. We're going to find our LCD, our least common denominator, and then we're also going to go ahead and add. So my LCD is going to be 6x. 6 because you need the 3 represented and the 2 represented, and x because you need just one x represented because I have one here and one here. So what you need to do is look at your denominators and see what you're missing. Here, I'm missing a 2. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2. Oops, you don't need this bottom 2 here. So just ignore that. And then in this denominator, I'm missing a 3. So you're going to multiply 3 times the top. So when you multiply these together, you get 8. When you multiply these together, you get 9. And it's all going to be over our common denominator of 6x. So when you add, it's going to be 17 over 6x. Okay, so let's first find the LCD. I need a 2 and a 7 represented, so it's going to be 14. I need a y squared represented for right here. And I need a y represented, but I already have y squared, so I'm good. So you're going to ask yourself, what is each denominator missing that the LCD has? So here I would need a 7, multiply by 7. And here I would need a 2 and a y, because I only have one y on that one. So it's going to be 35 minus 4y all over 14y squared. And remember, this is a binomial up here. You can't do anything to reduce anything. So you just leave it alone. Okay, so for this LCD, first off I'm going to put parentheses around everything so I don't get confused. For this LCD, I need an x plus 4, and then I need an x minus 4. So what is this denominator missing? It's missing an x minus 4. So I'm going to do an x minus 4 here. And then what is this denominator missing? It's missing an x plus 4. So I'm going to put an x plus 4 here. So I need x minus 4 times x minus 3, all minus x plus 2 times x plus 4. And this is all going to be over our common denominator of x plus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, so we're going to have to go ahead and multiply each one first. So multiply these together and then also multiply these together. So this becomes x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 12. And this becomes x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8. Now you have to distribute the negative, don't forget that. And don't forget also this is all still over x plus 4 times x minus 4. So it's going to become x squared minus 3. Let's combine those. So x squared minus 7x plus 12 minus x squared. If you combine these two, it becomes plus 6, but it's going to be minus 6x, because I'm distributing the negative, minus 8. Okay, so x squared minus x squared cancel. Don't forget, this is all still over x plus 4 times x minus 4. And then we're going to do negative 7x minus 6x is negative 13x. And then 12 minus 8 is 4. And this is all going to be over x plus 4, x minus 4. You can't go any further, so that's going to be your final answer. Okay, so put parentheses around this. Your LCD is going to be x minus 5 times x plus 4. So what is this missing? It's missing the x plus 4. Okay, so then we have x plus 4 times 1, which is just x plus 4, minus 19 minus 2x. Don't forget your parentheses, because you're going to have to distribute that negative. And your denominator is x minus 5 times x plus 4. So distribute your negative. You get x plus 4 minus 19 plus 2x. And this is all still over x minus 5 times x plus 4. So combine your like terms. X and 2x is 3x. And 4 minus 19 is negative 15. And then you have x minus 5 times x plus 4. Okay, so on the top we're going to factor out a 3. Just leave it for a second. And then it's x minus 5. So then you have x minus 5 times x plus 4. The x minus 5's cancel, leaving you 3 over x plus 4. Okay, here you've got a minus b and b minus a. So we need to go ahead and factor a negative 1 out of this, which would give me negative b plus a, which if I wrote it backwards would be a minus b. So that's going to give us something in common, to where when I do my LCD, I'm just going to do negative 1 times a minus b. Make our life a lot easier. So make sure you put parentheses around this. What is this one missing that the LCD has? Just a negative 1. And what is this one missing? Nothing, so we're good there. So we're going to do negative 1 times 1 is negative 1 plus 1 over negative 1 times a minus b. And negative 1 plus 1 is 0 over negative 1 times a minus b. And 0 over anything is just 0. So your answer is 0. Okay? Same thing here. We're going to factor a negative 1 out here. And then we're going to flip it around to give me the same thing. So my LCD is going to be negative 1 times x minus 1. Negative 1, because you need it here, x minus 1, and then you already have an x minus 1, so you don't need to write it again. So it's going to be, let's see, what is this denominator missing that this one has? Nothing. And what is this denominator missing that this one has? Just a negative 1. So you're going to do x plus 1 plus negative 1. Because negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And this is over negative 1 times x minus 1. So x plus 1 plus negative 1 is just x, because it's plus 0. So it's going to be x over negative 1. That doesn't look like a 1. Negative 1 times x minus 1. And if you want to write it like this, just put the negative out front, then it's x over x minus 1. Then you don't necessarily need that negative 1 like that. Okay, and last one here, same situation. I'm going to factor a negative 1 out and then flip it around. So my LCD is going to be negative 1 times x minus 2. So what is this denominator missing that this one has? Just a negative 1. And then what is this denominator missing that this one has? Nothing. So when you multiply these together, you get negative 5 plus x plus 4 all over negative 1 times x minus 2. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1 plus x all over negative 1 times x minus 2. And again, remember this is all one thing, but if you want to pull this negative out front, you can. So your answer would be x minus 1, if you flip that around, over x minus 2, and you would just make the whole thing negative. That's probably how it would look on the PERT. Okay? All right. You guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.